Allah. I'm Aubrey Muhammad. Pray that everyone is well. This is my live for the true state of the village of Hempstead. And welcome. And I'll just take like 5 minutes for a few folks to come in. And if you have any questions, please ask them. They'll be in. I'll gladly answer them in the comment section. But just overall, it's basically going over Waylyn Hobbs' presentation at the State of the Village. He gave it at Hofstra University. I believe it was on the 4th, a couple of days ago. All right, fam. So you can share this video, please, with everyone interested. And if you have any questions, chime in. Let me make sure everything is good. And if I'm having any audio issues, please let me know, because I was going to go through my notes. I wrote a lot of notes about the presentation Waylyn Hobbs gave, but if you have any, so I wrote a lot of those notes, but I decided I'll just play his presentation. You know, let me see if this coming through, y'all. Yeah. There we go. Okay, sounds good. But the audio note is, I have on a lav mic, so I'll be playing the audio through the speaker. Let me know if you could hear him, which it really doesn't make a difference anyway, because he was saying, as my brother Tariq Nasheed would say, a whole bunch of nothing burgers. I call it a presentation of platitudes. Damn. But this is on the full screen here. I can change this. Okay, I should be able to see the comments here. If you have any, that's on the iPad. Just give everybody a few minutes. It's 8:06. All right, 1 more minute. And hope everyone's weekend as well. You know, it's really trying times, man. You know, you got to keep a prayer, fasting. It's Ramadan, the holy month of Ramadan. I believe this is day 7 or 8. I don't have my, I think it's the 8th part, so I'm reading the 8th part of the Quran. It's usually how I keep up to date. And family, you should participate in Ramadan. Ramadan is a month of blessings. It's the Muslims. It's the lunar calendar, Ramadan, 30 days. We don't eat anything from sun up to sundown. During the daylight hours, we don't eat, we don't drink. We don't eat, we clear our minds, we focus. We don't even supposed to we ain't supposed to argue. We ain't supposed to raise our voices. I think some of us, 1400 years ago, Prophet Muhammad ibn Abdullah, peace be upon him, he didn't have any meat, just ate fish, I believe. Muslims did all types of stuff. But you could do too. You could take your challenges. You know how they take 30-day challenges? They say, well, 21 days, you could change a bad habit. You could change a bad habit from a good one in 21 days. If you could do it in 3 weeks, you can change, it can change your life. It could be a life-changing event in 21 days. Do the Ramadan. It will bless us. So let me start the presentation, and I won't take questions till like the end anyway, because I'm going to be playing this The State of the Village by Waylyn Hobbs at Hofstra University. I believe it was Tuesday. All right, let me get right into it. Now, the State of the Village of Hempstead was Waylyn Hobbs' first that will be annual State of the Village address. He did it at Hofstra University, which I thought was bad. And it was mainly a presentation of platitudes, same old rhetoric about nothing. The village has been devitalized for decades. It's been the source of your poverty, the source of your crime and ignorance, non-cultivation. us mainly paying other people's taxes, wealthy outsiders that have generated the quality of life in Hempstead. Raise your property taxes, losing your homes the last 20 years. And Hofstra has contributed nothing towards that. Let me say this about Hofstra. Hofstra pays less tax. Hofstra gets a tax pilot break. Did you know that? Hofstra University? Hofstra, big private college. It costs all to be damned. The tuition. They pay less property taxes than some Hempstead homeowners. One year, I forgot it was like 14,000, I think, and it's like 30 one year. It dropped down, and some homeowners were paying more than Hofstra University, big campus. They tout Hofstra as the pride of Hempstead. They used to when it first got those tax pilots. And Hofstra, let me give you two examples. Hofstra in the Metro 303 at the tip of Hempstead, the tip of Main Street, the luxury apartment with no sidewalk space, no green space for the outside, just only the inside. They're the microcosm of what gentrification is going to be like in Hempstead. They contribute nothing. These people contribute nothing. Hofstra, how many Hempstead employees do they employ? How many Hempstead residents are employed at Hofstra University? One of my good brothers is over there. I know him. And I knew like one security guard. And the brother, he was ready to throw us out. The FOI, we went with Minister Abdullah Muhammad. It's a true story. Damn, we went to Minister Abdullah gave a presentation. We've given a few. The Black Student Association, I believe that was Donnell. And then it was Sister Joy. After they left, we hear nothing from them for the village. They were getting involved with Hempstead. Donnell lived right across the street from us when we were at 600 Fulton. And he got Hempstead involved with the Black Student Association. He invited Minister Abdullah Muhammad. He came to speak. It was beautiful. They embraced him. Brother Abdullah Muhammad, that brother's alive. That's a live spirit, a humble brother that embodies the saying, being pleasing to Allah, vying in righteousness, being pleasing to Allah. He spoke. And after the speech, we were chilling in the restaurant little space there, you know, space where they have the tables and the lounge place, and the tables where they had the restaurants in there inside. We were relaxing at FOI with Minister Abdullah Muhammad years ago. And this sucker security guard, a brother, a black man, I knew him. I ran into him over at 110 Jerusalem. He was visiting someone else's apartment there, and he shrugged me off for some reason. He had contempt for me, going door to door to final call. And he didn't even live there. He was visiting someone, but I remembered him. He was a security guard that approached all of us, black men, dignified black men, knowledge of self, in Hofstra University in the Seton area. And this cornball security, a black man, came over to us looking like a cowboy. You know that security hat they had? I don't know if they still wear those same uniforms, but the hat looked more like state troopers combined with a cowboy. He said, are y'all Hofstra students here? This was absurd. We had a team. I remember the brother Captain at the time. He was staring at him hard, man. We wasn't going to attack him, but you disrespecting us. And that was, this brother security guard walked up to two tables, about a dozen FOI, black men, dignified. Security Minister Abdullah Muhammad. We were just chatting, having a little food from the restaurant. And he said, are y'all Hofstra students? Think over that. And we didn't say nothing because we had no respect for him. The brother who was at the Black Student Association that had invited us, that was hosting us and was giving us a tour around the college, he answered him and said, I'm a student, these are my guests. He said, can I see your ID? And he showed him his ID. We didn't show him nothing, didn't say one word to that sorry, pitiful brother. That's the spirit of Hofstra. They're alienated to us. Do any Hempstead residents work at Hofstra? Shout out, chime in, let me know, because I haven't seen any. And the Black Student Organization has no interaction with the village. These students, they crap on us. Hofstra students, they come out, they party, in the little bars over there, they have to close them down. They have to monitor them with police and Hempstead police, sometimes Nassau County police. They monitor them, well, mainly Hempstead, and they had closed down some of those establishments. That's how wild you were. What type of impression does that have on a student? That's a law student, a medical student. The medical student is over there, Northwell. The old Long Island Jewish, they went to Northwell. Their medical training is over there. And lawyers, the law school at Hofstra. What is the student-lawyer relationship with Hempstead residents? They come and they party and they crap over the place. They rent out all those houses. They're Hofstra buying all those houses. They just bought one for $800,000. Everybody losing their home. Corporation Wall Street's gobbling up. That's the relationship with Hofstra with us. Those students, they come to the restaurants there. A whole bunch of restaurants pop up there. See all those restaurants over there? Those are to serve Hofstra students. They specifically build those restaurants to service Hofstra students. What's the crab one? Ben Crab, something like that. Jersey Subs and stuff like that. Next to the Dunkin' Donuts across from Hofstra. And even in Hempstead as well. There's one brother over there, black man with a restaurant. Went in there and purchased stuff. It was good. Patches, I believe. I'm not sure if he lives in Hempstead, but he's a good brother that supports us. And that's it, a bar we had over there, the 155 for us. All in bars. They party, they pool on us. Pizza parlor, that's universal. But they gear those restaurants, and those are outside owners. What's the relationship? What's the benefit of giving them a tax break? Prestige, a name? That's, you love symbolism. We've had a black president, Barack Obama. We have a black vice president, Kamala Harris. Some argue about her lineage. And we have a Supreme Court justice, a black woman. All symbolism and no substance, nothing tangible, policy. But we love ceremonial stuff because many of us are hopeless. We have all our trust in this political system because they diverted us away from the economic system, economic self-reliance. And Hofstra contributes nothing towards the cultural development of Hempstead. They cultivate them students. Go to Hofstra. That old matter of fact, go walk through there. Your security will be the first one to see you. There's no driving through there. You can't just stroll through there. Security have their eye on you. I know a brother that was arrested, riding his bike through Hofstra. He had planned to go see his family. This was over 10 years ago. He planned to go see his family in Florida. That plan got killed. He in jail, riding his bicycle through Hofstra as a shortcut, coming from his job, out east on a bicycle. Walk through there. They cultivate their students. It's in Eurocentric. And it's Caucasian themed and based with Eurocentricity, like all schools. But they cultivate them to manage you, to rule you, to be your lawyers, to be your managers at business school. It's for them to be your boss. And you go get a job at a corporation they pull their resources for. Hofstra contributes nothing to us. That is the backdrop towards the mayor of the village of Hempstead giving a state of the village address at Hofstra Playhouse. And it was indeed a play, a stage play. I called it a presentation of platitudes. Let's go through the points. I don't want to waste anybody's time. I don't see any comments. I don't like this full screen. Let me see if I can get these comments ready here. There we go. I don't usually see them anyway till after the thing is over. I'll play this presentation. We'll watch it together. Tell me if you can hear it. If you can't hear it, chime in. Let me know.
This speech marks the conclusion of my first year in office. I could not be more proud of what we have accomplished together. But before I discuss the state of our village, I would like to acknowledge and thank the president of Hofstra University, Mrs. Holzer, staff, and faculty for hosting this event. Let's give them a hand. Holding true to the saying, Hofstra for Hempstead and Hempstead for Hofstra. Let's be clear, the success of our village depends on the success of our school district. Again, let's be clear. The success of our village depends on the success of our school district. And so I'm happy to announce that Hofstra, the mayor's office, and the superintendent of Hempstead School District are working together to forge a collaborative effort to foster academic excellence in the students of the village of Hempstead. Advocating for funding.
Now that's what I was speaking about. The educational system is a glaring difference between Hofstra, how they cultivate students for managerial position, in the Hempstead public school system. How is the Hempstead public school system doing? They brag about miseducating us. They aim you low to go get a job at a corporation. They teach you no civics, no cultural development, no economic development, no pride in your community, just success stories of getting a job. And this is why most of us leave the village. First of all, we're being displaced by high property taxes, losing our homes. But the second one is, when you do get money, why would you want to live in Hempstead? It's been devitalized. They never address this. The source of these problems is miseducation, and how they're disappointed in the educational system. We need to change it around and make it relevant to our cultural development.
And tools needed to continue on the road.
And let me know if y'all can hear this. I have on a lav mic, so hopefully y'all can pick it up.
Made major improvements, and so we are here to support them and continuing to move rings even higher. Let's give Hempstead School District a big hand. A year ago, when I placed my hand on the Bible and assumed the office of mayor of the largest village in the state of New York, I pledged to the residents that our village would once again work for you. I committed that we would move and strive in the sense of excellence. I'm proud to announce that we have made progress on that promise and will move towards more progress in the future. I want to commend my executive staff to believe and buy in to the vision for Hempstead. It can only be expressed by the respect that you show the residents of our village of Hempstead every day. Thank you for continually operating in the spirit of excellence. Can we give the mayor's office a big hand?
And most of these were like village employees and supporters of his agenda anyway.
Supervisors and outstanding village employees who take pride in their work, that realize that it's more than collecting a paycheck.
And you can hear the hecklers.
Public service. And yes, I will be the first to
and that's me recording.
on a job well done.
And I think I panned around where you could see the whole audience of who was there.
When we should have or could have done better. The village of Hempstead employees and residents alike, I will be sincere and fair. And no one will work harder than I to make sure that we provide the right services to the residents of the village of Hempstead. Now, I must admit that I am not a politician. I'm a public service servant, so there are times where I might not be politically correct, but I promise to always be fair. To the Village Board of Trustees, thank you for your shared commitment in providing the resources to make the village of Hempstead greater than ever. Last but not least, to my family, my mother.
He said he's not a politician. He is the epitome of a sellout politician, because he is a preacher and a politician. And I love my brother. Let me say this before I go any further. I love Waylyn Hobbs. I love Jeffrey Daniels. I love Noah Burroughs. I love Kevin Boone. I love Clariana Griffin. I love my brothers and sisters. I love you. And the door is open for you to make a 180 towards cultivating intra-development of the village with the people Stop letting outsiders do that. So my criticism of you was sometimes comes a name calling, and that name calling come when you lie and you misrepresent people. It evokes stuff in people. You know how you're telling the truth? When you lie, you got to speak for a long time, but when you're telling the truth, you're straight to the point. You get to it. And I love you, brother, but he's very deceptive, and you'll see. I'll comment on it later. But let me know if you can't hear this. You should be able to hear this. I have on the last one.
Of the village of Hempstead, Donna Hobbs.
This is white. This is white.
You are my greatest inspiration. I love you with every fiber of my being. Thank you for the support that you have shown me this past year. Could you give my wife a little bit?
Yes, I will.
This administration's first year in office have not been without challenges or adversaries. But those challenges have been met with perseverance and commitment needed to overcome overseen obstacles. Whether dealing with a pandemic or a second wave of coronavirus, the Hempstead community being one of the hardest hit, family and friends who have suffered its effects and the loss of so many loved ones, coping with circumstances beyond our control amid a divided nation. Unforeseen obstacles within our Department of Public Works facility, a fire that destroyed 4 sanitation trucks. But having the ability to lead and having supervisors and sanitation workers that made sure that our garbage pickup continued without interruption. Many people didn't even know that we lost 5 garbage trucks, but that shows you the dedication of our village workers. Let's give them a applause. Circumstances that tested the will of all of our employees and residents alike. We fought to make sure that everyone was safe. We opened testing sites with the help of our New York State and Nassau County partners. We implemented precautions and followed them, offering vaccination, helping thousands of our residents to get not just 1 shot, but 2 shots and a booster shot to make our village residents safe from COVID-19.
You heard me comment in the audience. I said, goddamn, they promote that vaccine. And they didn't promote, I don't support the vaccine. Boosters are nothing. But I do promote healthy lifestyle, strengthen the immune system. Simply just vitamin D, vitamin C, black seed oil. It's a whole bunch of options. Healthier living. Get out of this GMO food. And this food, this bodega food. And it's bad snacks, it's fast food. All this stuff is giving us obesity and underlying problems. And COVID just ravaged. Hempstead had the highest rate of COVID in Nassau County. It was Freeport and Hempstead. That's right. During the pandemic, these last 2 years, the highest rates of COVID. And you did the most vaccines. But you didn't promote healthy lifestyle. I took the vitamin C, the vitamin D. I'm bearing witness. Haven't had a sniffle, as my brother Robert told me. I was speaking to him. He said, man, you know, I haven't had a sniffle since I started taking all the vitamin D and vitamin C, and you should take multivitamins anyway.
We came together, working with community organizations, providing meals, passing out masks, hand sanitizers, making sure that the village of Hempstead had a consistent vaccination location, not just temporary pop-up locations. Despite the term, the new normal expression, there was nothing normal about this pandemic. So as we slowly move to normal, let us also move forward to reimagining the village of Hempstead. There is a saying, for such as a man thinketh, so is he. Hempstead, the time has come for...
He speaks of this new normal. This is sad. This is a sad announcement to accept a new norm. Nothing was normal about the old thing. There's nothing normal. During this pandemic, don't you know that billionaire wealth increased 70%? Billionaire wealth increased 70%. Millions lost their jobs. Millions lost their homes. Millions lost their small businesses. It was all a pandemic, and billionaire wealth grew. Corporate CEO salaries rose 47% during the pandemic. Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos accrued more wealth than the bottom not accrued, they're worth more than the 40% bottom poor of this country. And with all that job loss, Hempstead got hit the hardest. And it's more than the recorded 4.5% unemployment. That's the second highest unemployment in Nassau County. Freeport is the first. Hempstead got the second highest unemployment in Nassau County. How's that a new normal? This is what he wants to. They have, see, this angers me, man. They have contempt for the poor. They despise the poor. They think they're better. I'm privileged. I'm better than them. They don't care. Some of them jobs ain't coming back, and they have no initiative to create jobs, which I'll get to further. And 90, if it's normal, 90%, he spoke of the fire department and these village employees, all government employees in the village of Hempstead, 90% of them do not live in Hempstead. 90% are not residents. No residents are employed at Hofstra University. Hardly any. You got to name them. You can show me the few. I'm pretty sure maybe one or two. 90% of village employees live outside this village, and they do not pay a commuter tax. They should pay a commuter tax. This is why everyone come in this village and just push us around, and they do what they want to do.
For us to stop allowing others to write our narrative. It's going to take a village to change the village. We are too talented, too resourceful, too resilient not to have a say in our future. I'm proud to announce some of the village's steps to move us closer to normal again.
It was no normal. That narrative, not only are developers, investors, and outsiders, the oligarchy, the duopoly ruling Hempstead, and he's a puppet for them, they push them around. They form policy. He's speaking to us, the Coalition of Concerned Citizens, who are speaking on this narrative that is lopsided, that is racist, that is segregation, that is classes, the gentrification of Hempstead. These investors, these developers, these planners, he is a puppet for them. He's trying to act like he's his own man. They are writing his words. That's speeches he's talking from. I got notes here. You see me glancing. That's 2 teleprompters. He's reading from a speech that they wrote for him. It ain't in his heart. He has contempt for us. He's a zealot. Waylyn Hobbs is a zealot for pushing poor people around. What you're about to hear.
Summer, this administration put together a quality of life task force, one of my first official acts as mayor of the village. This task force from day one began to evaluate the village of Hempstead and identify areas where we could make improvements. And one of these areas where we have made progress was in public safety. The paramount concern for the village residents and my administration. Over the past year, thanks to our police chiefs, detectives, outstanding police officers, we have made great strides in keeping Hempstead residents safe, cracking down on crime. In my earliest day as mayor in the office, I directed the Hempstead Police Department to dedicate a bicycle patrol to our downtown area in our hub. therefore freeing up our sector cars to begin to patrol in our residential areas. And I'm happy to brag over the fact that when that bicycle patrol was put in place, they made a major arrest right by our
And let me know if y'all can
station,
hear this well,
taking
because I'll turn it up.
guns and
But you
drugs
should be.
off the street. We are proud of that initiative in environmental policing, preventing crime before it happens, and again, taking illegal firearms and drugs off of our street, which has seen major improvements over the past year. Thanks again to the dedicated members of our police force. Can we give them a round?
Now, it's another sad narrative. This over-policing of Hempstead is ridiculous. The police budget is ridiculous. This militant, alienating policing of the community by giving another daggone symbolic platitude, ineffective effort of bicycling. What difference does it make if you are not addressing the source of poverty and crime, which is devitalization and lack of cultivation? A marriage between the village and school and education and homes. It's a 3-point connection that intersects the education, economics, and the policing. The more you do the economics and the home development, the less policing you need. The more poverty, the less family cohesiveness, the less home ownership, the less resources, the more desperate people get. As our brother James Brown said, and mind power. If you can't work, you can't eat. People are going to steal, man. Then you condemn them. When they lose their homes, through paying somebody else's property taxes. It's very simple. You're paying someone else's taxes. You're paying wealthy investors, oligarchs, developers, bankers, landlords, wealthy people. You're paying the taxes. They're not getting loans from banks, which is low interest loans anyway that they take out for collateral of their property, and they don't have to pay taxes on either. Which American people are paying these taxes. This is why you're more impoverished. This is inflation. They printed trillions, I think it was $8 trillion. I just put it on my Facebook page, of money during the pandemic. They gave us $1,400 checks for 2 years. And I call him Bo Biden, and Joe Biden threw us that $2,000 check. Vote for me, get a $2,000 check. Then he shortchanged it. He said, well, Trump gave you $6, I'm going to give you $1,400. And then they call that inflation when they raise the minimum wage of some employees, raising 50 cents. Damn price, I put that Twitter tweet on my page. And this policing, it doesn't address the source of crime. The Hempstead police, I call them $1 million police, making $250,000 a year, policing, capitalizing off people's ignorance and poverty. My brother Arthur Barrett, former police officer, beautiful brother, one of the best of our brothers that was concerned about our people. Why he went into policing. I know plenty of black police. I went to the Million Man March with 2 black police. One is retired, both of them retired now, it's years. But there's lack of concern when you impoverish, and then you put all those resources in policing the poverty, when it's illegal for you to be black, and they criminalize your poverty. Because we're not economically developed, we're not culturally developed to rely on ourselves. They never address the source of crime. Then he pushes us off into the social service. Go over to Charles Lindbergh, Uniondale Social Service. It's like walking to an armed camp. There's some good people there that work there. I know some good people. As a matter of fact, the brother that greets you in the front with security, these are good people. But overall, it's like walking into how Nassau County Hospital used to be. These people are alienated. They're militarized towards black people. Go over there. They got that all steel, looks like the entrance to a jail. Some camp, some armed camp, a barrack or something like that. Go. That's the mentality they had. They treat us like a permanent underclass, because to keep us a permanent underclass. And that policing of black people in this country by Caucasians is a failed system. The public system is a failed system for black Americans. All right, let's continue. Any questions? Why would they clap to that?
That within a year's time, crime in the village has decreased by 15%. We have also taken over 70 illegal handguns off of the street of the village of Hempstead. And so as the men and women of the police department are doing their job, making sure that criminals stay off our streets, I request our friends in the State Department help keep them off the street. Change the bail reform law.
You heard me, I commented in the audience. He said he's sick. You despise poor people, man. You despise Waylyn. I said, you just have contempt for poor. He's a zealot. He went to the train station himself with the police, bullying poor people off of those stairs. They were feeding the homeless there for quite some time at the Long Island Railroad, the train station. He swept them under the rug, go over to the parking lot that they closed down, the 3-tier ramp behind the Department of Motor Vehicle on Cooper Street. He pushed them over there. He sweeps everybody under the rug and never addresses the source of the problem. This is the problem. Why? Because you have to deal how he's in collusion with these planners who are devitalizing us and pushing all of these poverty programs in Hempstead. None of them are resident run, none of them hire residents. 90% of the employees in the village of Hempstead are outsiders. And then when people are losing their home to the property tax, you can't pay your property taxes. You got light bills, you got your cable bills, you got your car notes, you got your insurance. All type of hidden costs coming out of everywhere. You know, something breaking your house, that's a hidden cost. And it's not under the warranty, that's what kills you. That could kill you. A medical bill could kill you. A medical bill, the number one source of bankruptcy in this nation is medical bill. You can't pay your hospital bill. You're losing your home. They have contempt for people saving their homes because the plan is wanted. You take your home, you start renting out rooms to save your home to family members or whoever, even a stranger, to get that rent to make up for the property taxes. They despise it. They despise you. They say code enforcement should hound you. They should go look in your garbage. They should go look to see how many cars are parked outside your house. When you try to save your house. And what do they do when you lose your house? That's more homeless people. That's more unemployed people. That's more broken families. More displaced. More homeless that he will sweep under the rug.
And I know that we cannot address crime in a vacuum. Locking up everyone.
You heard me. I said you don't want to.
Therefore, I met with the county executive, Department of Social Services. I met with mental health agencies to address the homeless population in the village of Hempstead. Because I wanted them to
Which you
understand
caused. You're responsible.
that true outreach takes place after 5 p.m. Those organizations that get funding to help these citizens need to be out after hours so we can meet them where the need is. And so we're looking forward to joining together with the county executive, our Department of Social Services, and different organizations, along with our police department, to make sure we address the homeless population in the village of Hempstead. In addition to our law enforcement, the village public safety relies on the men and women of the Hempstead Volunteer Fire Department. These men and women volunteer their time, leaving their families, stepping into the line of danger for the safety of the residents of the village of Hempstead. And so again, can we give our Hempstead Fire Department?
Yeah, the fire department, which most of them always the outsiders, but those who are residents, that's an honorable job,
a
firefighting.
board of fire commissioners. This board of fire commissioners is a diverse group that represents the diversity in the village of Hempstead. And speaking of diversity, to those who claim that this administration does not have diversity, I want to share this.
It's too
As
diverse.
I address race
With
or
outsiders.
relationship with people,
We would
my
like some
friendship
residents
is not based
empowered
on
in.
color, creed, or even sexual orientation. They're just my friends. And I serve as the mayor of all the residents of the village of Hempstead. And anytime you have to count how many Hispanics or people that you have, that means you really don't have a relationship. I'm here to stand on the fact that I am the mayor of the entire village of Hempstead. And so with this board of fire commissioners, we have made our fire department even more transparent, allowing our commissioners to go after the funding that's necessary to make sure we get the equipment and things necessary so that our fire department can meet the ever-challenging needs of the fire service. And so I understand that oftentimes when it comes to change, not everyone welcomes change. But I want to say this, that just because we were doing something for a long time doesn't mean that we was doing it right. Change is not a bad thing. Change is a good thing. This administration has also put together the revitalization of the tenant association. The tenant association, you are the eyes and the ears of our village. Your voice matters. And speaking of your voice matters, I want to remind all Hempstead residents, please make sure that you download the My Hempstead app.
Hypocrisy. He has devastated the planners that control him from actually James Garner. The urbanization started with these pilots back in James Garner. When they started urbanizing Hempstead, when they planned the urbanization, them pilots kicked in under Wayne Hall real heavy. They have destroyed. Hempstead had over 30 civic associations, that's homeowners, in each area of Hempstead. There were strong voices in this community. How many are there today? 4. There are 4 civic associations in Hempstead. We have lost that many homes, that many concerned people. Why do you think he won't mention that? He speaks of transparency, but I can see through you. And it's sad. And the civic associations now, the country estates, there's some good brothers and sisters. These civic associations, the Ingram Estates, all of you, y'all should be the voice protecting these homeowners. Y'all the ones. Well, let me go on because you got to speak for yourself.
Go to your app store and download it. That way you can report potholes, stop sign outages, litter and debris right in the palm of your hand, and we can address that issue. I welcome your emails. I welcome your pictures showing me where someone dumped in the village of Hempstead, because that's the only way that we can truly address the problems in Hempstead when you bring it to us. It's going to take the entire village for us to change this village to make it the Hempstead that I know it can and will be. So again, please download the My Hempstead app. Now it's sad that when we talk about change and we talk about better, that there are so many people in the village of Hempstead that think the talk of change and better doesn't include you. Why shouldn't it include you? You deserve better streets.
Yeah, that's a giggling.
Better parks.
We're giggling.
You deserve better services.
In the
You
audience.
deserve the best that we can offer to the residents of Village of Hempstead. And so stop thinking that change doesn't include you. I know it's been a long time coming, but I'm here to let you know a change is going to come.
You heard me? I said it already has. You've displaced thousands. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds have lost their home. Probably thousands. The last 2 decades. These planners are knocking down that entire downtown. A 300-acre footprint to start with, that they lied the whole time. First they lied and said it was 20 acres. Jeffrey Daniels used to throw that in your face. Oh, it's only 20 acres, there's nobody there. Then the village paid for a 2016 survey of the social economic impact of the Renaissance MDA on Hempstead. I asked Mayor Waylyn Hobbs the last village meeting, how much did Hempstead taxpayers pay for the study? He said he would get back to me. I haven't heard anything yet. I won't be surprised if I don't hear anything. Jeffrey Daniels used to throw that in your face. The last village board meeting I went to, Jeffrey Daniels turned his back to me. Because earlier he was commenting on Catherine Gary talking about Hempstead and the relationship with this board and these outsiders and these exploiters and these oligarchs. And she said, you don't be a slave to them and stuff. And Jeffrey Daniels was reading her email and said, oh, see, she's calling you slaves. Y'all are, she thinks of you as slaves. And I commented, I said, you are a slave. You are a slave. Everybody else got to speak for themselves. And when I got up to make my presentation to ask Waylyn Hobbs about this 2016 study that Jeffrey Daniels was throwing in people's face, saying there's no gentrification because it's 32 acres of stolen parking lots, Jeffrey Daniels turned his back on me. And then I told him, I gave him the most Honorable Elijah Muhammad's teachings that the worst prison a person can be in is not the physical one with the bars, but the darkness and ignorance of your own mind. The worst slave is not in chattel slavery, where they held us in hostage. They held us hostage on plantations and mills and other arenas of exploitation for hundreds of years. This sick, twisted-minded people held us hostage. Think over that. Under terror, murder, rape, all type of homosexuality, bestiality, cannibalism, madness, everything under the, you cannot fathom what he did to us. He kept body parts for souvenirs. Murdered us at will. He murdered us for glee. By the millions. Murdered black and native people for hundreds of years here. For fun and glee. And got satisfied by it. Murdered them. And a worse slave than being under those circumstances is worse to be a mental slave. Mentally dumb, deaf, and blind. I told Jeff Daniels that. I said it's worse to be mentally dumb, deaf, and blind, which he is. And the worst robbery, the most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, that could be done to a people is to rob him of the knowledge of self. Because with the knowledge of self, you can free yourself from slavery. You can build up your economy. And you can strive for justice. And you can see your enemy.
With
Called him a hypocrite.
the promise that I made when elected as mayor, that based on my relationships on the local, state, and federal level, that I would pursue all the funds that serve. I'm happy to announce that within our first year, we have received $16.5 million in ARPA funding to address our infrastructure, our antiquated water and sewer system, and so we're not waiting for a master developer to tell us what we need for Hempstead. We're getting the money so that we can fix what Hempstead needs to be fixed without burdening the taxpayers in the village of Hempstead that have carried the burden far too long.
He has never spoken of this. He says he's not waiting for development. That's all he does. He is the epitome of being handled by developers and that Democratic Party and the Republican one, the duopoly that are gentrifying Hempstead. All of the policies he implemented. He's planted that IDA board with 4 members. Every vote is for more tax breaks. There's over 30 pilots now in Hempstead, tax breaks for wealthy apartment owners, supermarkets, some supermarkets, and a few car dealerships who contribute nothing in return. It's not a beneficial relationship for us under Waylyn Hobbs. He put 4 members on that board who are his puppets because he's a puppet. You know how they have a saying that whatever's in the master's mind come out in their dog? That's what you put your people with doing your will and stuff that you put out there because you're doing other people's will. And he is the epitome of a puppet.
With that $16.5 million, not only are we able to address our water and sewer and infrastructure, you'll start seeing this summer and even down in the village of Hempstead that major road repair is taking place. Not filling potholes, but completely redoing our roads in the village of Hempstead.
That's a sad announcement. They've devitalized this village and let the infrastructure down, paying other people's taxes for 20 years. It's been like a minefield driving through Hempstead. How could you clap to that? And he's going to build the infrastructure for the gentry. These are newcomers in that he claimed he's not waiting for development. He's doing all of their plans. He's fulfilling all, he's a zealot for them. Fulfilling all their plans, all the time. Our quality of life going down on purpose. No, none of them spoke up for us. And if you try to survive it, holding on to your home, bringing in people to the home to offset your property taxes, they would hound you to throw you out, creating more homelessness, lowering the quality of life with zombie homes that they are preserving for Wall Street, BlackRock to gobble up, and Hofstra's gobbling up. All of them are the same financiers. They're using the assets because they got worth so much because they're not paying property taxes. Goddamn.
With that $16.5 million, we were also able to save our residents that, based on the pandemic, had fallen behind in their taxes and were about to lose their homes. We were able to save over 13 residents from losing their homes by being able to give them money to pay their taxes and continue to live in the villages.
People are losing their homes because they can't pay property taxes that you are enabling by putting 4 members on the board to keep voting for all these tax breaks pilots that struggling homeowners have to pay their taxes. Imagine for a minute. Come on with me, Hempstead. Walk with me. I got other people from around the country in here. My sister's Karen. Other people. If I right now, see, it's not personalized for you. You're not personally suffering. This doesn't affect you. If right now, April 15th is the tax deadline, we all got to file our federal state taxes by April 15th, right? Imagine if I said to you, a neighbor that you don't like, Ray Ray, I say, Shanita, you got to pay Ray Ray taxes, $12,000. If I said, Paul, you have to pay Sandy's income taxes. You have to pay her taxes this year. Along with your taxes, you're paying $4,000, which ain't too bad. But you got to pay Sandy's $12,000. And the IRS hits you with a bill for Sandy. And Ray Ray, you would be up in arms. You would get lawyer. You would be raising hell. You would let everyone know, why I got to do this? You would go confront them. You would go confront Ray Ray. Why am I paying your taxes? See, I put in for a pilot. If it was such a thing, but that's what they're doing. You don't agree to these things, but you're suffering the consequences. You're suffering silent because it's collective. It's a bigger pool. But that's how much people are paying. I know people paying $2,700 a month in property taxes in Hempstead. That's a mortgage. That's a business. And he says he saved the houses. They're sucking the economic blood out of Hempstead with these taxes breaks for these wealthy apartment owners to the tune of over $20 million a year. Then they sprinkle back little grants of $1 million here and this big 16. Oh, that's a big number. It's still it's your money. It's our property tax money that they're giving back to you as crumbs, and you sitting up there feeling so relieved because you've been deceived.
Recently, it was announced by Senator Schumer that the village has, between Senator Schumer and also Councilwoman Rice, that the village received another total of $5 million to address our water. And so we're happy that we're making the improvement so that we can supply safe drinking water for the residents of the village of Hempstead.
You're not going to get it, though.
Hempstead School District, I met with the school district, well, the board of the Hempstead School District. We're looking to do some testing on the Hempstead school site because we believe that there is better quality water there. And so we're still waiting to hear from the school board so that we can get that going. Someone asked the question, I believe it was one of the school board members, asked the question, was the fact that we had overcrowding in Hempstead is why we needed to do drilling. I said, no, you're mistaking quantity over quality. We're not talking about how many residents we have. We're talking about providing safe drinking water to the residents that we do have in the village of Hempstead.
He's being deceptive. This water expansion is for these new gentry they want coming in. They're gentrifying the village. It's going to be, they're starting with 3,500 apartments. And once these new gentry, these luxury apartment tenants and high-income people come in, they're going to expand it to 10,000 units. They're going to take over the village. The footprint, I just told you, they lied. They said it went from 20 acres up to 32 acres. And then it went to 279 acres. That's 12% of Hempstead. Hempstead is 2,333 acres. That's 3.7 square miles. And they're lying. It's not the quality, it's the quantity, because the gentry is going to require this new water. And they want the land of this is what he didn't tell you. They want the land on the Hempstead High School. But Hempstead School Board, Randy Lamont, Tricia, I forgot the other member's name, that whole school board, do not give away school land, Hempstead school land. They've already given away the village, and we need to get that back. Look at how crooked they are. Look what they want. You're a fool to give away your land. You don't have, but at least Randy Stiff ain't giving away that land. Randy is the one that opposed that was the front. Why do you want that for? He's lying. They haven't fixed the roads. They've devitalized the village. The water quality has been going down. The trees, they've been scalping the neighborhood. Go Google the map. Google Hempstead, the village of Hempstead. And as you go through, go Google Hempstead and then scan out a little on Google Maps. You see all the greenery. Rockville Center, you see the greenery of Uniondale, and you'll see the green gardens of Garden City. When you get to Hempstead, it's scalped. They've scalped all the trees to lower the quality of life, to lower property values so that they could gobble it up while increasing our property taxes to throw us out. And we have one of the worst school systems there is, and they only because it doesn't have the culture, not specifically to us. But that water, why you want it, you're being deceptive, Waylyn Hobbs. It is for the gentry. It's for an overcrowded village. The village got about 70,000 people on here. On the books, it's 50 or 55, I believe it was. But off the books is something like 70,000. Could be even higher. And you're being deceptive there. School Board of Hempstead, don't give away your land.
So, reimagining Hempstead means thinking outside of the box. We are applying once again for the Downtown Revitalization Initiative grant.
This is a grant for building up infrastructure for new people. Our parks, our streets. We have no cultural centers. We have no cultivation centers. We need a restoration center for cultivation economics. Nothing. You have decayed this village. The village have gone into decay. It has been purposely devitalized. He applied for a grant for that $10 million, and he lost it. He spent $450,000 on a grant, and Governor Hochul gave him, that was the Brownsfield application. That application was 95 pages, and the other one was 300 pages, where you could see the expansion of the footprint of that gentrification. It went from 279, they put in the innovation zone. It went almost down to President Street to the high school. Another 30 acres, 300 acres this behemoth is, and it's not for us, which he claims it is. This is what angers me. And Governor Hochul only gave him $200,000. He spent $250,000 on nothing. Now he's going to spend more, probably Hempstead taxpayer money, trying to please the newcomer gentry that will not be for the whole of Hempstead, only that downtown area. It's a damn shame.
That's $10 million. And with that $10 million, we can talk about economic development that the village needs. With that money, we'll be able to have input from our community, once again, so that we will write our own narrative. There is no man for ours. There is no puppet master. We determine our own destiny when we step up and do what we have to do to make the village of Hempstead the place it is and it deserves to be. So it's going to take your participation to make Hempstead what Hempstead should be. One of the things that we also did as this administration to again operate with transparency. I promised that we would operate with transparency. For the first time in a long time, almost the history of the village of Hempstead, our employees are now using a time-keeping system where they have to clock in their hours, no longer going by word of mouth. Now we have accurate records to make sure that for a day's work, you get a day's pay.
How is that transparency? He's hounding them. He loves doing that. He used to be in code enforcement, hounding people, tracking them and stuff. I put in my notes, he is the poster child of the legacy of the secrecy of that village board. They have done so much secrecy, it's ridiculous. I just asked him last board meeting. You have to pull his teeth. You have to force this man. You have to drill him to get information out. You have to foil. You have to spend money to get information. They are so secretive. Waylyn Hobbs signed blank pages of the documents of the MDA. They misrepresented it for a decade as only 20 acres, so that no one would pay attention to it. They misrepresented it as 32 acres and paid Cantor out in East Long Island, the name of this person that did the survey, paid him. I'm still waiting for Waylyn Hobbs to get back to me with that number. All they do is secrecy, sneaky stuff. I used to call them the sneaky board. Remember that Ron DMC record? They call me a sneaker, but I'm not a sneak. Every time I walk in the village hall, there's another sneaky thing coming up. They hide everything. And he loves it, and he covers up everything. You have to force him. This is why he didn't even like us speaking at Village Hall. He used to say, it's arrogance, man. And pretentiousness, the arrogance, though. He belittles you, especially if you're poor and not important to him. Just 3 minutes, it's a privilege for you to speak. We don't have to let you speak. You should hear him. He was talking about the residents. We don't have to let you speak. You lucky we give you, his spirit was like, you lucky we giving you 3 minutes to speak. Sit down. He loves doing that. Sit down and shut up and quiet, throwing out. He threatened to throw me out the last meeting. And yet another pastor on the other side of the meeting was bearing witness and commenting. And he said nothing. I pointed out to him. I said, what about the reverend over there? He thought about it twice. Waylyn Hobbs, you need some changes, brother. You need some therapy and some conditioning and culture. The words came out your mouth. That's transparency. Hounding people. Transparency is speaking of the nature and scope of major developments in Hempstead. That's transparency, letting everybody know, holding forums with all the information instead of us having to squeeze it out of you. Jeesh.
Happy to announce that negotiating with our CSCA and also our PDA, that we have come up with contracts that's going to be beneficial, not just for the employees, but also the residents of the village of Hempstead. Negotiating with the PDA, while our Hempstead officers will be wearing body-worn cameras. And guess what? The body-worn cameras is not a way of punishing our officers, but it's a way of providing safety for both our residents and our police officers. And thank God, because we have men and women of the police department that love to protect and serve the village of Hempstead, that unlike some other departments, as Commissioner right here, I didn't have to pay our officers an extra dime in order to make these things.
I think I scanned around the room. I don't see it. Maybe y'all saw it earlier. I was ranting to show you who's in there.
To my last point on tonight as we talk about the future of the village of Hempstead, and that is downtown revitalization.
Oh, Lord.
And
This is it.
economic improvement. Now, I know that so many people have understood that Hempstead have received some bad deals in the past. But I promise you that before a shovel goes in the ground, that we will make sure that any development that takes place in the village of Hempstead has to come with community benefits, real benefits that can be measured, not only for the village of Hempstead, but also for our school district. Now, I want to share something with you.
He says, were bad deals in the past. He's never challenged them. And even now, he's not. I just spoke to you. Most of those bad deals, giving away land, letting these developers steal 32 acres of land worth $190 million for nothing. They gave away 32 acres. Waylyn Hobbs was the ultimate puppet. Gave away 32 acres worth $190 million. You know why? Because the crook Don Monte of Renaissance sold parking lot 8. You saw me do the walkthrough of Carmen Place? That little itty bitty land, he sold it for $4 million to Conifer. His lawyer Dan Deegan should have been sitting there too. Dan Deegan was the Avalon apartment lawyer, and he's now the lawyer for all these developers and apartment owners, these big nationwide apartment building owners. Dan Deegan misrepresents every last thing. All of these bad deals he's talking about, he has never challenged them. Now he sits up and acts like he's going to do better. And he keeps so much secrecy, and he's alliance with them, and he quiets people. And they're behind the scenes making moves against people who oppose this. Did you know that on this day, as I was going to this state of the village, this was, I believe, Tuesday, this week, I had verbal announcement by the owners of Avalon that my mother is being evicted from the Avalon in Westbury. The Avalon apartments in Westbury across from the Home Depot to Roosevelt Raceway. And you best believe she's been complaining for years about all the noise from the apartments, from the tenants in the apartments above her at 518, that the owners of Avalon, who are in Virginia, The Avalon management is nothing. It just weak. One of the managers that tried to help her, they fired her. Carrie Rodriguez tried to help my moms with the noise, with the complaint. We're moving to a different apartment, and they fired her. They have a revolving door. No, they reshuffle all their employees, maintenance and managers. None of them stay at an apartment complex for like over 2 years because they don't want people to be familiar with these people. They don't want management to be concerned with tenants. They want to push them around and manipulate them. And those tenants in the apartment 518 at 1299 Corporate Drive, Westbury, apartment 518, that apartment had been so much trouble to my mother for like 8 years, and it got worse, and 6 years, and the last 3 years it got unbearable. She had to soundproof the place, and she would complain, and it went on deaf ears. She would call the police, she would go to complain to the owners, complain to management, nothing. They would be like, shut up. They got the same spirit that these oligarch handlers do of these people. Be quiet, shut up, don't say nothing. Suffer in silence. That's how they get you. They operate behind the doors, behind the scene. They are the hidden hand that undermine you. They did it to Sister Shelley Brazeley. Some crooked code enforcement came and gave her a violation where he couldn't normally see it on her house. It was political because she's involved in the community, and they do it to break people. She brought it to the forefront. They did not. That employee should have been brought forth in front of that board and held accountable for that and fired immediately. My sister Terry Winston, remember the last blizzard that just left? All that snowstorm? They waited till our sister shovel out all of her driveway, all of that street in front of her. Then they sent a Hempstead Village shovel truck to fill it back up. Sister Terry Winston. All of that is plan and control. They do that to mock us, humiliate us, to frustrate us, to drive us out of going against the obvious. I was walking out of IDA board meeting myself. I parked my car, a Honda Accord on Washington at the same time. This is the same blizzard a couple of weeks ago. And as I came out, I was on my phone leaving the meeting, and I noticed a Nassau County Department of Works snow truck, garbage truck with the plow in the front, hovering. And as I walked down the stairs, he started coming forward, and right as he got to my car, right behind it, it was tunneled in. I mean, this is a huge pile of snow. I was lucky to get that spot. It was like going into a cave. It was like chest high, that snow. And I got in there, and I couldn't leave out the front anyway because there was another car in front of me. I would barely make it. But I was going to back out. This rascal, who's being commandeered to do this, filled in right in front of my face. Filled in all that snow in front of my car and the cars in front so that I couldn't get out. He did this as I was walking down the stairs. He almost waited for me to come out, but the rascal didn't realize that I was going to back out anyway, and I backed out. So, like I say, they plan, and Allah put his plan right on top of theirs.
If we don't do nothing, we won't have nothing. Nothing from nothing leaves nothing. It is time for us to get things moving in the village of Hempstead. And understand this, that we can no longer operate by taking money from our reserve balance. For too long, the village of Hempstead has its budget off of a reserve balance. That's like having a savings account and constantly taking from your savings. After a while, there's not going to be any money in the savings. So let's get some development going so that we can bring in more tax revenue. And again, making sure that we bring in benefits of jobs and also opportunities for our young people in the village of Hempstead.
He's speaking of the Master Development Agreement. It's awful. It is no development for us. It is temporary. The only temporary benefit, which ain't even a benefit, is construction jobs. Temporary construction jobs. Don Monte used to tout that years ago, 60,000 construction job hours. He literally put on their website hours. You're going to get jobs. There'll be job hours, because once the hours run out and the construction is done, you're gone. Conifer, that little footprint that will start the Carmen Place, owned by Conifer. It's going to knock down the strip mall, and I showed you on the last video. Go watch my other videos about the Carmen Place. They're going to knock down that strip mall. Those businesses will not be welcomed back into the new development. It is not for us. The community benefit agreement is not for us because we won't be here. The businesses won't be here. Those two homes, those homeowners and those tenants will be displaced. They will be in other living areas, other housing, but it will not be in the new housing they're building at Carmen Place. It is not for us. The jobs are not for us. The temporary construction jobs are the only thing that they're throwing at Hempstead. Our relationship with this gentrification, it will be worse than Hofstra and Metro 303. Both are getting tax tax breaks. We're paying the taxes and getting nothing in return. Go walk through Hofstra, you're not welcome there. It will be the same thing. Go to Metro 3, you're not welcome there. It's the same exact thing, except a city. It will be an entire 300-acre footprint to start of you being an outsider. You'll be window shopping. A few of you will trickle in there. A few. How many of us are 303, Metro 303? I know a good sister there. She's watching that. I know most of them are Chinese students. Tom Swazi bragged he wanted to make Hempstead a college town over a decade ago. He's fulfilling it. And he's not telling me. He's being deceptive. This is what angers me. And this is what he calls transparency. And this is what he calls benefit for current residents. They've already, the preliminary tax breaks for these wealthy outsiders have already displaced thousands. Hundreds have lost their homes. They're not in Hempstead. They're losing everything. They've lowered the quality of life, raised our property taxes, and raised the cost of living. And it's detrimental to us. It's very deceptive for him to portray it as anything other than that.
Hempstead, when asked a year later, how does it feel being the mayor of the village of Hempstead? My answer is still the same. I love every minute of it. And as we have gathered here in Hofstra University, and in the beginning, they played Dr. Martin Luther King. It was in 1965, this same day, that Martin Luther King was assassinated, and someone thought that by killing the dreamer, that they would kill the dream. But I stopped by tonight to share with you, for those of you that decide to take hot shots from the cheap seats, still we rise. The dream is still alive.
I called him a hypocrite. Let me see if I panned around the room. Let me see. I think I did. Okay, I think I panned around the room, y'all. No, it was earlier. Okay. I said it. Platitudes are nothing. A presentation of platitudes. So there you go, Hempstead and family. It was deceptive. It was empty. It was the state of the village. He wants you to look through the lens, and those lenses are outside oligarchs, outside planners, outside investors, Russian oligarchs. Did you know that the main financier of RXR, gentrifying Hempstead with this plan that he so much promotes, is a Russian oligarch, and many more, Indian, Chinese oligarchs, greedy people whose wealth grew. American billionaires' wealth grew 70% during the pandemic the last 2 years. And our wealth decreased. We lost homes, we lost businesses. That breaks up families too. I hope you have a strong family that supports you during your trial. But this is the face, this is the puppet behind the source of your pain, economic pain in Hempstead. He's being deceptive. And only we can change it. We have a plan. We got to build a center. We got to kill the MDA, the Renaissance gentrification, master development agreement. It's illegal, it's unethical. It's been deceptive. They misrepresented it. We got to get compensation starting at $300 million. It can be as high as $900 million for the over 2 decades, which is going back to the 60s. Tax breaks for these wealthy apartment owners been going back since the 60s. He spoke of Martin Luther King Jr. He's a hypocrite. Martin Luther King Jr. fought for, he was an economic nationalist. He promoted black economic nationalism. He told, when Jesse was in the audience, he said, Jesse, what's that white bread? Don't buy the white bread. Buy your bread from a black-owned place. Get your insurance from a black-owned insurance company. That's when he took the mindset of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and started applying it to the Poor People's Campaign and against the war in Vietnam. That's when they ended Dr. King's life. They never quote Dr. King's last sermon and up to his days before he was assassinated. Never quote those speeches, because in it he gives black people to have self-pride, to start doing for yourself and stop relying. He stopped relying on them liberals. That letter from the Birmingham jail was the Negro preachers like this that told Dr. King, stop making waves, Dr. King. Stop being so aggressive. Come on, let's have this passive nonviolence. It's played out and it's weak. Before this presentation, they had Dr. King being presented with an honorary degree from Hofstra. And they are hypocrites. There were hardly any black employees at Hofstra. Hempstead was so black because in the mid-50s, when black people started coming into Hempstead, they did what was called blockbusting. One black person moved on the block, all the white people would leave. That's a realtor term, a planner term. Blockbusting, redlining, scalping. It all has to do with black people keeping us a permanent underclass. It's a 100-year legacy plan that they continue to this day. It's being implemented through this puppet. Dr. King. It was all black in the 60s. My mom's came here in 1961. My mother, Dorothy Miller, was being evicted from the Avalon for political reasons, for complaining about excessive noise. She had to go to the hospital for it. She had to see a psychiatrist complaining about that. Dr. King, Hempstead was so black from the white flight, another term, realtor term, white flight is what it's called. And now they're returning. Dr. King came down Wilco departments. They had a tax break since then. They renamed the street. That's where it was renamed after Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., our champion, toured Hempstead. And he traveled down that street, and he was greeted as a champion. Instead of the current sellouts, who are chumps. We need more champions like Dr. King, Malcolm X, Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Noble Drew Ali, Marcus Garvey, Sojourner Truth, Harriet Tubman, Eldridge Cleaver, Huey P. Newton, Minister Farrakhan. This is the modern day leader we should get with, organizing our communities. Instead of these sellouts, all they give you is empty platitudes. My brother Tariq Nasheed said, a nothing burger. We got Dr. Boyce Watkins. What's the school called? The Black, Economic Black. He has that Black Panther. Go watch Dr. Boyce Watkins. Give that economic blueprint for Black America for us to start developing ourselves. We have to implement that in every black community. Why aren't we calling in our greats? Why aren't we calling in Dr. Claude Anderson with power economics, powernomics? Kwanzaa Kanjufu in education, the cultivators that relate to us. Dr. Leonard Jeffries fought to get black studies into schools. All of them are gone now. It's an elective. I just put the meme up on my Facebook page saying white privilege is when European culture is a core curriculum and my culture and history is an elective. We need to call on our greats. Get a convention center, get a hotel. Make Hempstead a black Mecca. Invest in our culture. Development. We got to be creative. We have to pool our resources, that means our talent, and do one town at a time, because they're displacing us one town at a time. They did it in Harlem. They did it in Brooklyn. Now the same investors are in Hempstead. Pulling the same game. They just use puppets. Politicians and preachers. He's a politician and a preacher. What a nice package for our enemies and oppressors to exploit us, take advantage of us, and deceive us. We need to call our greats and to build Hempstead into a black Mecca. They're gentrifying Atlanta now. You left here, Hempstead, going to Atlanta for the lower cost of living. It's a trap. Just like Hempstead is a trap. They hope you build a business in Hempstead. They hope a black business. You bring all this black business right now because they're devitalizing it before the gentrification to take your business. They're crooks. They're robbers. We have to build around them, build strength. We have to call sellouts out. We have to call them out, all of them. Most of them are preachers. All the black preachers in Hempstead support this gentrification. There are no civic associations because of the displacement, because of the devitalization. Over 30 civic associations in Hempstead, homeowners associations are gone. All the tenants associations gone. They're weak, and they rely on a corrupt village board that will bury your complaint. I'll get back to you. And they give out little special favors and promises. But let me give you the scripture before I go on this. Waylyn Hobbs, the devil promises only to deceive you. And you're responsible for what you present to our people, because they have hope in you. Our people hopeless, and when we see something shining coming our way, we latch onto it and support it. But all our being is a trick to take everything from us. The black Republicans just found this out in Hempstead. The last 2 decades, you lost your homes. And now I hope that other parts of the country are studying what's going on in Hempstead. Because the spider web is a trial. You build the web, it'll trap things, but a simple wind, a simple twig can tear down the spider web. But we got to build a house, a Mecca. We can do it right here in Hempstead. All right, peace, family. I'll answer the questions after I log off and put it back on. I felt I only saw one sister shout it out to me, but I'm glad y'all tuned in to watch. And thank you for tuning in. And may Allah continue to grace us and bless us. And I leave you as I greeted you in peace. Assalamu alaikum. Peace unto you, family.